Okay, then is verb phrase. A verb phrase refers to a phrase that composed of at least one verb and the depends of the verb, in which the verb functions as the head word of the phrase. Example as he has been singing. He as the subject, has been singing as the verb, and then the second example is the child found the puppy. The child as the subject and then found as the verb. Okay, next is infinitive phrase. Baader and Frames says that the infinitive phrase can be defined in various ways. For example, define it as a phrase that starts with to and a verb of a verb phrase. It may also contain one or more complements as well as modifier. Infinitive phrase may have the function as nouns or as modifiers. The verb in an infinitive phrase doesn't tell anything about any subject in a direct way. It doesn't change from to show agreement. The underlined words illustrate this type of phrase. Okay, for the example here is to finish her work is a good thing. Then is gerund phrase. A gerund phrase will begin with a gerund, an ing word, and will include modifier and or objects. Gerund phrase, which always function as noun, will be subject, subject complement, or object in the sentence. For the example like eating ice cream on a windy day can be a messy experience if you have long unkempt hair. The sentence eating ice cream on a windy day is a subject of the linking verb can be. Next is participle phrase. Participle phrase can be defined differently. For example, define it as a group of words containing a participle and its complementing elements that can have the function of an adjective or adjective phrase. Participle phrase can be used with helping verb to make a clarification of tense or voice. All verbs have the forms of present participle and past participle. The underlined word represent participle phrases. For the example like I saw Arthur running for the bus. The underlined word is running. Then for the second example like disappointed, she left the room quickly. The underlined word is disappointed. Okay, for the last one is absolute phrase. An absolute phrase is a phrase that modifies a whole independent clause, not just one word. It generally combines as a noun and a participle, so it can be as short as 2 words or sometimes have other modifier and object too. Absolute phrases aren't full sentence on their own, but they can add very important details to sentence that make them more informative or relevant. For the example like Sally wanted for her friends to arrive, muffins baking in the oven. Muffin baking in the oven, Sally waited for her friends to arrive. Her muffins freshly baked. Sally waited for her friends to arrive. Sally waited for her friends to arrive. Her muffins freshly baked and ready. Okay, we think enough for the presentation. Thank you for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.